Oh, you're fine. You say, well, I can pull it up for you. Hang on just a second. I will pull it up for you.
I had it in text and then
What's the first three of your last name? First three characters?
H-U-G.
H-U-G?
H-U-G.
All right, you're in.
Cool.
You are in. Well, if you haven't checked in, go ahead and check in. We'll get started here. Up on the overhead is what we're going to go over first, which is, well, actually second after announcements, but this is the My Shopping List end result. This is what the final app will look like. And we'll come back to that in a second. I want to make announcements, though, as far as stuff coming up. First is the hour of code. I'm going to go to our site to get that. So myreceipt.org, if you go there, upcoming events, we have 325, March 25th, Learning Coding with Robots. This is actually what, these are some of the stuff. We don't actually play with the converting the robot to it comes with the robot. Actually, we just don't have time to play with it in the 2-hour session. But it does come with these shells, these plastic shells and stickers and stuff. You can put on. My grandson's done probably 15 of them. And so, but Darth Vader, if you're a Star Wars fan, it's got tons of that on it. But I did finish up the binders and they're all ready to go. On the 18th of this month, I'm actually doing the same one. It'll be the third time for the mayor and 19 other people in Rockford, because we're wanting to roll it out to the city somehow and do STEM technology. And I think it'd be kind of cool. I think people really, thus far people have liked it and got a lot out of it, both young and old. So if you're interested, there's still tickets available. They're a little bit more expensive this time. I think they're 70 or 75, but they've raised the prices on me. So I had to raise the prices on it. But it's still worth it. You get the robot with all the cool stuff inside of it. You also get a binder like this that has all the lessons that we go over plus more. And then also we have I've got a website for just the learn code with robots. I'll show you what that looks like. So here in the Ozobot section of RBC Hour of Code, I've got this Ozobot workshop binder. Has everything in the binder, plus tons of other online resources that I've either created or has come from the company. And so this is basically a layout of everything that's going to be covered in the workshop, down to the fun stuff. At the end, we do 3 games that folks can choose from, like this one here. They can do a dash and race with 2 individuals. All the games have to have at least 2 people participate. And what's cool is you take the robots, put it on the piece of paper, they're colored lines, and you race to basically the end of the line. Show you what it looks like here. So that's one right there. So starts on this one down here, works its way to the end. And it can, depending on what line it hits, it can actually have different paths each time. And so we have player 1, player 2. And so that's just one of the games. There's like 3 games they can choose from. And so anyway, RBC Hour of Code has more information on prior events, upcoming events. With the Hour of Code's the next one. We did have 23 attend the last Hour of Code in the downtown Rockford. And let's see, I got a picture of that somewhere here. Here it is. And if you get a chance to go to the downtown location, the RBC downtown location in the R-Star building, 2nd floor, anybody been there before or take a class there? It's really, they've converted the entire floor for RBC. It's got a Mac lab, a couple PC labs. We did this one in a PC lab that sits about 28, 29. We had 25, I think, something like that, 26, I can't remember. Anyway, these are the folks that took the challenge. And this little girl here, I think she's 6 years old. And then this gentleman here is 83 years old. So that was the age range of people that came. And it's a neat building, and they had a lot of fun. And so the next one is March 1st, which is a Wednesday again, 5 to 6. You can register at mybc.org, or you can just remember rbchourofcode.com, either one. But if you go to mybc.org, which you guys already go to a lot anyway, you can register from there as well. Job postings. We do have a couple job postings I want to make mention. This just recently opened up. Hononegah, anybody know Hononegah High School or attended maybe, or know somebody does? Great school. They have a full-time tech support lead position, 12 months, 8 hours a day, insurance and benefits, $17 an hour, and entry level. So you just have to, have an interest in technology, be taking technology courses, preferably PCT 110 would be, you know, a good one. Networking, I teach that one. Any Cisco courses, hardware, be a good one. But they teach you anything you don't know. The link here should lead you to the online app submittal. If you need a reference, you can put me down as a reference. But that one just posted today. I imagine it will go pretty quick because it's a good position, full-time, benefits. I know some of you already have jobs, or maybe you're looking for a job during the day and all your class at night. This would be a perfect fit. They will work around your school schedule. So your school schedule for this semester is already set in stone, I know. So just work around it. So if you have a day class or two, they'll probably work around it for you. But I would highly recommend this one if you're interested in anything in technology, because you'll kind of get your hands dirty in both networking, PC repair, troubleshooting, coding. Maybe, you never know. Could get involved in some coding, some web development, or any other development you're interested in. So high schools always need more than just like one type of help. So this tech lead, support lead, basically you get to do everything they want you to do, basically. And so if you don't know how to do it, they'll teach you. So good position, good job. If you don't need a job or you know somebody that does, I'll let them know about it. IT help desk, Foresight. This posted last Thursday or Friday, I can't remember when it was. We posted this one, January 30th. This one posted January 30th. Foresight Financial Group's looking for a part-time employee for IT help desk. It's an entry-level position. Great opportunity for students just starting out in IT. The summary just gives them information about Foresight. And then if you're interested in this, and it is paid as well. They don't give how much here, but I know it's a paid position. careers@ffgbank.net. Send your resume. If you need help with resumes, by the way, you can click on the My Future tab here. And I do have a link for free resume builder, which you can go to that link and sign up, and gives you examples of what good resumes look like. You can register your account and keep it updated and everything, print it out as a PDF or a Word document. Definitely recommend that. And if you need help looking at it further, you can send it to me and I'll help you. I'll look at it. That leads to the next one, which is, I mentioned the Hour of Code, March 1st. But before that, we have the resume writing workshop, 2/21, which I think is a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, at 6 p.m. And it's going to be the modern job market needs modern search and job application strategies. Learn to navigate the highly competitive job market by employing better online search strategies, better resume writing, and better interview techniques. It's sponsored by us, but we will have in that meeting folks from career services will be there to help you with the resume, mock interviews, tons of stuff like that. So a lot of good information. Anybody that is looking for a job or you think you might be in the future, probably good to go. Be a good thing to go for, and it doesn't cost anything. So, questions on that? Again, that's 12/21. You don't have to register for this one. They're just wanting everyone to share this information. So if you have Facebook or Twitter, we have been posting this. As always, if you wouldn't mind retweeting our post and liking our post on Facebook, that helps a lot, getting the word out. And that is it as far as announcements. Entree, I believe, is still hiring one tech. They've hired two already. They still have one tech left, a PC tech. This person, when new PCs come in, they get the PCs ready for deployment. So installing software, minor training, stuff like that. And Entree is also a good place to work as well. So questions on that? That's it for announcements. Now I'm going to close these tabs and go to, okay, this is the final app we're going to be starting this week. I told you last week we'll be starting to work on our shopping list app. We're going to do version 1 tonight and this week. The end class will be kind of, here's what version 1 is, here's the requirements for version 1, Here's how to fulfill version 1 requirements. And then, but this is the actual end result. And you don't have a link to this because you can see the code. So I'm going to just show it to you. Folks can add lists to this. So I'll put in here, you know, let's put pizza. And so we'll add that. And then say you get to the store and you start picking these items up. As you're going down the different aisles, you'll notice it moves it from the top to the purchased section. And you can even, if you're on a phone, if you click on this send list, I actually have it hard coded right now to go to my phone. So if it's on my mobile device, which I'm not showing it to you on my mobile device, it would send it to my via text message to my 815-713-6321 with the contents of the body of the list to my phone right now. It'll end up though just sending when it's hosted on a website, it'll end up just sending a web link with a XML database file that will have the contents of it. And so right now though, this is kind of a beginning mock-up of the final. But this is what it's going to functionality, kind of what it'll look like. And so from here on out, you'll be building on this app to get to this app anyway, to this level here, this final app. You can also, as it goes on, add in images, which you'll be able to do, add in more features, like maybe you want to tweet it out, maybe you'll want to save it to Dropbox, maybe you'll want to keep a data log of what you have purchased, sales, items, recommendations of stores, you know, a whole bunch of different things you can add to it. And so, because once you learn how to do this and store it in a data, and we're going to use XML data since it doesn't really matter if anybody gets a hold of it. It's just list, so nothing important really. And XML is nice because we can put it on any web server and it'll easily be able to save it. And you guys can take the files at the end of the semester and literally put on your web server and keep working on it. And so I made it such to where we can we'll host it in the Plunker like we've been doing. And I'll just give you a web link that you can use to create your XML database to store it. Kind of, that's the thought anyway. But tonight we're going to actually finish up with version 1, which looks like this. So shopping list version 1 is going to look like this, and we're done in class tonight. You say, hello world, I am an awesome web developer. Hello world, I'm an awesome web developer. Item 1, 2, 3. My shopping list, item 1, item 2, item 3. My updating shopping list, item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4. So that's what yours will end up looking like tonight when we're done. In week 5, on the discussion and exercise, there is a link to the slides we're going to be looking at. And I would also go ahead and create a new Plunker because we're going to be doing that from scratch in class. So just go to your Plunker site, log in. As soon as you get to your Plunker site and log in, remember to click the edit button on Plunker and you're able to start a new one. So plunkr.com. Log in with your GitHub information. plunkr.com. It'll prompt you to log in as always with your plunkr.com. Oh, .co, not com. .co. plunkr.co. No M on the com. There you go. And so you'll sign in with your GitHub as always. Once you sign in, your username will be on the top right. You'll go to My Plunks from your username drop down, and all you'll need to do is select editor. It'll start a brand new Plunk. And then you can hide the library over here. And for the description, you can put week 5 in class for the description. because you will be sending your link at the end of the in-class session after we do the notes. Okay. So give it a moment to do that, to get that ready, because we'll be randomly typing in periodically some code as we go along through the notes. In the notes tonight, I put the tag called JavaScript, you'll see, and that's where we'll be adding code in your Plunker. Now, one of the things we'll be doing differently with our Plunker this week, we're going to be messing with where the JavaScript call is. Right now, it's always on line 6, where it calls a script.js. Since we're not using a function tonight to load our script.js, but we wanted to load it underneath our title tag, our H1 tag. In fact, on the H1 tag, we'll go ahead and put in here week 5 in class. What I want you to do is under that H1 tag, move that script tag line 6. Move the script tag line 6 underneath line 10. I want you to move it. We're going to call it underneath that, and you'll find out why in a second. So that's your HTML. I'll leave it up there for a second. You need to make sure yours looks like that. So you put your H1 week 5 in class, move the script tag to below week 5 in class H1 line, which mine's line 9. And on the description, week 5 in class as well. I'll give you a moment to finish that up before we get started. That way you're kind of ready to go. This does time out pretty quick. So as we're going over notes, you might come back to the Plunker and it's timed out. You just need to, hit log in again to GitHub. It's not a real long timeout. It's like maybe 5 minutes. So that might happen. So this week when we do notes, we'll put some code in as we go along. At the end of the notes section, you would have completed the in-class, which is version 1 of the shopping list. Anybody need me to keep this up here longer? So this is what your HTML should look like, roughly. In week 5 discussion, there's a link to some slides, some Google slides. If you want, you can just look at mine, or you can look at it on your own, but it might be easier to keep Plunker on your side open, and you can just look at the slides up here and type in whatever code I have you guys type in. Might be easier to do that. But for argument's sake, you can go home later and view the slides as well again. So version 1, I just actually set in on a meeting today at work where we're doing a different version of an app. So I have this fresh in my mind of the word requirements that we always go over when new apps are brought to IT. And what that means is you meet with the owners of the project to find out what their requirements are for the app. And the developer will take notes like I did, do screenshots, mark up some stuff, ask questions. Then I take that information, put together a rough layout in an app, have them look at it, mark it up again, and then finally put it into the final version of the app as far as for that version, and they can start testing it. So we're starting, by the way, kind of going back a little bit, but I think it's important to do that. You've learned so far in here, JavaScript, what it means, variables, declarations, var, what it does, arrays, what it does. You've done some iterations with if statements and some loops. So we're going to backtrack a little bit to where you'll be going over some stuff here the next few weeks that you've already covered, but I think it's good to do that so you'll kind of have a understanding of, okay, here's how I can use what I've learned so far. And so version 1 is what I'm using for this week. And version 1 will be this week and next week, actually, maybe even to week 7, but for sure weeks 5 and 6 we'll be doing version 1. It's a real simple version, but basically requirements for version 1 is to stay on track. We need to define some requirements for a shopping list. Otherwise, in development, you can go with a whole bunch of different rabbit trails, which I've done before with people and myself including. So with version 1, it's generally the bare necessity of the app. It's kind of the bones of the app, right? It's kind of the skeleton of the app. So here's some requirements to keep us on task. And we'll finish actually the first 3 requirements tonight. And you'll do homework in the first 3 as well. So to stay on track, the first one is our app should have a place to store shopping list. It should have a way to display shopping list. Should have a way to add a new shopping list, a way to change a shopping list, and a way to delete a shopping list. So those 5 items or 5 requirements is what our app version 1 is going to be able to do. So first thing is a place to store. You've already done the in-class where you've started your plunker, hopefully. You've changed the week 5 in-class. You moved to JS to H1. And the reason, to after H1 line, the reason I had you do that is up to this point, when you've ran JavaScript, you've called a function generally in most of our examples. This one doesn't call a function within JavaScript. So when the JS file runs, it's just going to run, and we're using a document.write to display it. And so if we didn't move our JS file, the document.write content would go above the title of the web page. We want it to go below the title of the web page. So you can call a JS file anywhere within the contents of HTML, within the body tag, within any tag actually, where you want it to be placed at, especially if you're going to be not calling a function, but just the entire JS file itself. So to store shopping list, we need to use a JavaScript array, which we've used in here already. But again, we're going back to rudimentary a little bit, kind of backtracking a little bit. So when we think of a shopping list, we think of a list like item 1, item 2, item 3, separated by commas, right? In programming, that term is an array, is what we call it, where we start with a 0 notation, then 1, then 2, so on and so forth. And so what I'd like you to do is, in your JS file, you're going to write in this code for, let's see if I can blow it up a little bit more here, for let's see, go back a little bit. Oh, there we go. Way too much. There you go. There. So that line of code there, document.write, item 1, item 2, item 3. And notice it's single quotes separated by a comma with the left bracket and right bracket encased left or right parentheses. So go ahead and type that in. And as soon as you type that in, you can go ahead and run your plunker, and it should show up right underneath the title of your week 5 in class when you run it. It should, if you typed everything in correctly. And so whenever we're doing output, up to this point, we've done console.log. We have done some document.write. We'll look at some other ones as well that we can do in a second. But it's important to know while you're typing that in that arrays are, in this case, very powerful because we're not having to manually type in or call things individually. We're putting them all in a nice bucket. And the bucket right now doesn't have a name. It will in a second. Right now, I'm just wanting to show you what an array is. And really defined with JavaScript, all we need is that to define an array. Now, again, it doesn't have a name yet, but it will. But again, very basic here right now. So item 1, item 2, item 3 is what we've got so far. And when you run that in your app, I'll go back to my plunker here. You should get this right here. Item 1, item 2, item 3 should display on your screen right now. Next thing I want you to do is, we're going to talk about anyway, is when you're creating arrays, using the document.write command. Let me reshuffle this because I've like totally messed it up. When these are in frames, that's what happens when they're in frames. Okay, I'm gonna refresh the whole thing. There we go. Let's go to, maybe I'll go to full screen mode. Can you see that in the very back, by the way, at this text here? Is that okay? Okay, I won't blow it up then, I won't mess it up. So document.write item 1 to item 3 helps us place our shopping list and store it for right now. This way we create the arrays. It's called a ephemeral. We lose the information as soon as we issue the command, is what this means. To make sure we have access again to it, we need to make some type of variable and assign it to that name. So what I'd like you to do now is underneath that document.write item 1, item 2, item 3, go ahead and create a variable, and we're going to call it shopping list equals same information, item 1, item 2, item 3, separated by single quotes and a semicolon. And while you're typing that in, I also want to talk about how document.write is a function, and it can take one or more arguments for that function. And so in your code, what I'd like you to do is, I'll pull up my code actually for mine. You can see this a little bit better probably. So what I'd like you to do is, you've gotten this thus far, that one. Go ahead and you typed in, now what I'd like you to type in under that beer shopping list, I 1, 2, 3, is go into a document write, hello world, in single quotes, comma, begin single quote, space, I am an awesome web developer, end single quote, and right parentheses, semicolon. I think I actually have that on a slide too. Hang on just a second, I will move to that page. Yeah, I did right there. That doesn't look good. Oh, there you go. So with that document, I write hello world. I am an awesome web developer. When we do that document, I write and run our plunker, it's going to kick out that information. And I mentioned at the top of this slide, we can display things in JavaScript like our shopping list in multiple different ways. Console.log is one way, alerts one way, document.write like we're using this week, enter HTML, window.alert. And I did put in the slides a link to the W3 schools that I actually have already went over with you, but I thought it'd be helpful to have it for when you're looking at it, some of the differences, how they're used. We're using document.write this week just because that's the one I chose to use. We could use other ones as well. And the reason for the script.js move was because we're doing the document.write, which is going to kick everything after the H1 tag. So the reason I had you do the document.write hello world, I'm an awesome web developer separated by commas is to show you how that function document.write can use and take in multiple functions. Now, if we wanted to add another document.write hello, the same exact one, but we wanted to put it on a new line, what HTML tag would we use to put it on a new line? An easy one that you can think of.
Break.
BR tag, right? So go ahead and do the very same one, type it in or copy and paste it again, put it underneath the one you have right now, but use a BR tags at the beginning and end of your string. So it'd be at the beginning of hello world, before hello world. So before the H, BR tag, and at the end of developer, BR tag. And make sure and put it inside of the single quotes. Put it inside of the single quotes of BR tag. And you'll see what will happen when you run it. It should force it now to a new line, that new document.write. Because if you don't do that and you do another document.write, it's going to shove it up against the existing one. And so the reason I had you do that or showed you to do that was so you can see that there's differences between the, not only can document.write take multiple functions or multiple arguments, it also takes HTML code. You can push it. Because with document.write, what you're actually doing is injecting code into the existing body of wherever that JS file is being called. In this case, we put that JS right underneath the H1 tag. So that's where it's injecting it, right underneath there. And whatever we put in that JS file is going to be injected in here. And so we can put in the document.write BR tags because of that. The document.write can also take multiple variables. We talked about, we're going to talk about now how to print that shopping list. So now that we have our document.write, we've used it, we've declared our variable name called shopping list with the array content of what, item 1, item 2, item 3. One of the things I want to note also, and this is something that you miss and when you're a new developer, is the quotes. The variable list, when you're calling it on an array, should not be in quotes. If it is in quotes, what's going to happen is you're just going to print out the name of that array. And so if you were to, call shopping list in single quotes, you just have shopping list come out as an echo command to the screen. So instead, what you'll do now in your clunker is go ahead and call the shopping list like I have on the screen there, document.write shopping list and semicolon. And what that should do is display, again, that shopping list. This time, though, you're actually calling it by the array name shopping list versus an unnamed array, which we did initially with just item 1, item 2, item 3. And once you get that done, to make it look a little prettier, a little nicer, we can add descriptive information before the shopping list by adding an argument to the first document write. So like we did earlier, the hello world, I am an awesome web developer. We're just going to put a descriptive here. You don't have to do my shopping list, but that's what I use. So I have a BR tag, my shopping list, colon, space, end quote, comma, shopping list, right parentheses, semicolon, should make it look a little nicer. Yeah. Is shopping list spelled right? Try single quotes instead of double quotes. I think I have double quotes on the order. Let's try single. On that last document.write. Bring that left parentheses. You have a space there between the right. Clean up that white space. Shopping list. Shopping list. Let's call it without that. Oh, you're putting this in your body. It needs to be in the JS file. This all needs to be in your JS file. Copy that. You go to your JS file. Yeah, there you go. Paste it in there. Yeah, you had it in your HTML. Now go back. There we go. Maybe I'll have to fix that last one. Anybody else need help? All right. Okay. Do you need help on that? We're not. You can do double quotes as well. This should be all right. Oh, on the one, hello world? Yeah, the hello world one does need to be single quotes, you're right. Okay, comment out the bear shopping list one. Bring it back, bring it, take a comment back out. Oh, you have too many brackets. You need a beginning left bracket and right hand bracket. You don't need all those brackets. That should help there. There you go. There you go. Now it's much better. Cool. Anybody else need help? Okay, so by making the descriptive, again, it's just something nice to make it. And again, when you're in early stages of a version, these are things that seem simple, and they are simple, but you miss them if you rush through requirements and don't say, don't need it. Don't need those requirements. We'll just figure it out. And you will, but it'll take twice as long to get the app done, okay? So I'm going to go back. I think I skipped one of these slides here, or the end result. So we finished up the shopping list done. We're now finishing up the display, which was a second requirement. So we finished that up, the displaying of the shopping list. Now we're going to work on, okay, we've figured out how to get some input and store it, display it, and format it a little bit. Now we're going to talk about how to add a new shopping list. And this is new. This is actually new stuff for what we've done this semester. And what we're going to do is use what's called a push command. And then an array can use the name of the array, dot push, and then in parentheses and quotes, whatever item you're wanting to add, will add that new item to your existing array. So what I'd like you to do is on number 3 here, I have adding item 4, add an item 4 to your shopping list using the push method. So I've given the syntax here how to do it on number 2. So we already know the name of the array, dot push, and then in place of name of item I have as the example, you're just going to put item 4. And we're not displaying it yet, but we will in a second. But go ahead and do the push first. Do the push first, and we'll come back and look at the how to display it or update it. And again, this is a real easy way to add to any array in JavaScript is with a push statement. In some languages, it's a dot add new, dot add. Anybody think of other ones for languages you've done for adding new array? Add new array method. Add's pretty popular, add new, but JavaScript is push. I guess the connotation was you're pushing something to something else. In this case, you're pushing data to an existing array and adding it to there. Do I know? Yeah, you're right. It was originally assembly. Yeah, assembly uses push, correct. So everybody got the adding the item 4 shopping list using the push statement. So here's the actual code that you should have used for that one. Shopping list.push item 4. Now go ahead and see if you can figure out how to display the updated shopping list. And let's do this. Add a descriptive to the fact that you've updated it. So add a little bit something different than what we had before to just show users, hey, this has been updated. Okay, this list now has been updated. We've added a new item to it. And again, whatever you decide is fine. I'll show you in a second here what I chose, but it doesn't have to be what I chose, as long as you put some thought into the how to display it with a good descriptive information that's been updated. So I'm having you push a new item 4 using the push statement in the shopping list, which for this week we're hard coding everything, but next week we'll get into where users are actually, like I showed you in the demo earlier, starting to use an input box and actually enter this data in dynamically from a form. But baby steps, we'll get there. We'll get there next week. So adding item 4, pretty simple using the push statement. But one thing you might miss on this one is, and it should work. With some browsers, it doesn't, but the single quotes, double quotes, when it's a new item added to a JavaScript, for the most part, across the board, the double quotes should work fine, okay? Across the board with all your browsers. The single quotes sometimes do not work on some older browsers for whatever reason, because remember, JavaScript is a client-side script. It's depending upon the browser, working with the browser to get stuff done. Unlike server languages like PHP and .NET Framework, it relies upon the browser. So HTML5 and the new JavaScript, if you're adding push or using push to update a list, I'd recommend the double quotes. You might see some information out there when you read to do single quotes and example. And again, it works for the most part on new browsers, but old browsers might not. Okay. So I'm going to switch over to my plunker here and see what your guys' looks like compared to mine. Should be pretty quick. I did my updating shopping list, item 1, 2, 3, item 4. And just a note, also too, when you're doing a version, I haven't been having you type them in, but it's a good practice, just especially on a new version of whatever code. And as a developer, I might go in and clean this up later. But when I'm first putting stuff in and I'm meeting my, go back to this example, and I'm meeting my checklist of requirements, I will literally take those requirements and use it as a comment in my code. That way I know what my requirement is that I'm needing to meet, and then I will, put in there minute information to describe each one of those steps to get to that. So, and what I mean by that is, like in here, create a place to store a list, create a place to display a list. First one I did was create an array to store for the list, create that array, document function, and I literally put the comment of the document function, add in a new line, what HTML tag should I use, displaying an array shopping list. Again, these are real rudimentary comments, and I would probably go back and clean it up when I go in production mode. But during development of a version, a brand new version, I leave these in there because there's so much stuff being thrown at you on new versions sometimes that if you don't leave this stuff in, it slows you down. And so if that helps, and it will help you by putting these little comments in as you're developing apps, just making a habit of doing it. So that's what mine ended up looking like. Yours probably ended up looking up pretty close to that. I do have a couple more slides we're going to go over here, 1 or 2 more slides anyway. Let's see. So what I'd like you to do is now share and submit your plunker in the URL for week 5. I think I gave you guys a website URL to submit that. So let me show you how to do that again. I think you should be pretty well versed on how to do it, but let me just refresh your memory. So make sure your plunker, let me go to mine here real quick. Go to your username, go to My Plunks. And when you get to your My Plunks, click on this icon here, the exclamation point one. And that URL is the one that you'll submit to me in the in-class. Submit that to me. And again, the way I got to that was I went to my username and plunker, My Plunks, found the in-class one, clicked on this one here. That's just the easiest one I use all the time. And then that plunker URL, that's the one you'll submit in the week 5 discussion and exercise. And then we are going to go over some detail here on what your assignment is going to be. It's going to be a little bit more detailed than most weeks, and you won't have the source control this week or from now on until the week's done. It's going to be a little harder, but not too difficult. I think you'll be fine. It's not going to be any variation, by the way, big from our in-class. The take-homes won't be, but it's going to be a little different. So I think you'll be fine, though. So once you've shared that, I'm going to go ahead and forward to the assignment real quick. Next week's reading is bugs and error handling. We will be covering in our in-class next week before we get to the version 1, items 3 and 4. We're going to do some bug handling to show you how to do that in JavaScript, how to do some debugging, stepping through your code, what that's all about. And that's helpful, especially when we're talking about a new version. You're wanting to test things over and over again in small iterations, and error handling will help you do that. So we'll talk about that, and that will be helpful. And so you're in class next week for the most part. First half's going to be on bug handling and error handling. Second half's going to be on items 3 and 4. That's the reason I gave next week just 2 items in the requirements. This week we covered 3 items in the requirements of the app. Next week we'll just do these 2. So tonight we covered in the assignment, it says to start creating version 1 of the shopping list app. The requirements for the app are it should have a place to store shopping list. It should have a way to display shopping list, a way to add a new shopping list. That's what we went over tonight. Next week we'll cover how to change a shopping list and how to delete a shopping list. So on the, going back to that. So for this week, fulfill the first 3 requirements for your homework. You're going to create a shopping list app in Plunker. It's going to have a place to store it, display, and add new. Create a brand new Plunker this week called Shopping List Version 1. Change the H1 tag to Shopping List Version 1. Move the script.js to below the H1. Add your student comment, as always, to the JS file. And then the below in the JS file code, or add the below code to the JS file. And this is pseudocode for what you're going to be doing. So numbers 6 through 11 is what you'll be doing this week. You'll create a shopping list array with 3 real grocery items. So you might start with like milk, bread, and butter or something like that, maybe. Then you'll display your shopping list. My shopping list is, display it. Then add 7 new items using the push command. And again, these are all going to be hard-coded in. These push commands will be hard-coded in to your array. Display the my updated shopping list is now, whatever it's updated is now. Challenge is to display current date in this format: month, day, and year. 2-day month, 2-day day, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year. W3 Schools is probably one of the best resources for you on date formatting to help you. And I do have that in one of the, and I think in our modules for resources is W3 Schools, or you can just Google W3 Schools JS and find it. It's not real hard to do, but that's a challenge just to add in there. And what I'd like to do as far as formatting for the challenge for the current date and time is, or just date, is put that at the, wherever you feel like it should go, wherever it looks best. I'll leave it at that. Wherever you think the date looks best formatting wise on the page, because you're going to have up on your page shopping list version 1 as a T1 as a H1 tag. Your shopping list will show up as it is originally, then the updated, then wherever you want your date to be. Run to make sure there's no errors. Again, most errors that's going to occur at this level is going to be you forgot a semicolon, you put too many brackets, not enough brackets, most common ones you're going to run into. And then submit the URL when you're finished. If you want to add more to it, you may definitely do that. We're going to take that very plunker that you're working on next week, and you're going to add to that for week 6 for version 1, and possibly even to week 7. But for sure, week 6 will more likely finish up version 1 in week 6. Because when we get to version 2 in week 7, we're going to be actually using a button on the form with an input box. And just to show you here again what that's going to look like, let me bring up my plunkers here. My final plunker that I put together that we'll end up doing. And again, yours can look definitely better than mine and different. Doesn't have to look just like this, your final one. So you'll have it next week. You'll actually start, or not that next week, week after next, if we finish version 1 next week. And I'll kind of feel out, see how you guys are doing at the end of next week. If we need more time, we'll spend another week on what we're doing this week and next week. But you'll definitely, version 2, it will be basically my shopping list title, input box, and an add button. That's what you'll do. It should be able to do something like this. Click the add button, and you'll bring in, now it won't look as fancy on version 2. You're not going to have the delete button in version 2. You will not even have the checkbox in version 2 to where you can actually check it, because there's a firing mechanism for both. Firing mechanism on this will be when you check it, it adds it to a purchase list. When you delete it, it fires a JavaScript function that deletes it. Okay. Version 2 will just be, you'll be able to add a new list to your list, and that's it on version 2, and be able to display them accordingly and in order of how they were added. Okay. And one of the cool things I'm thinking about doing, depending on how you guys do and catch on to things, which I think you'll do fine, is I'd like to be able to, if we have time, at the end, be able to click on these, have like a little ellipsis at the edge over here or over here, to where you can click on it and drag it and reorder your list. I'd like to be able to do that. What's cool about these lists is you will be able to play this on your phone. You will be able to, push it to your phone, and literally when you leave class, start using it. That would be pretty cool, right? So we actually use it to do your grocery list or whatever. Give it to your wife to say, no, I'm using this as my grocery list now. Like, okay, woo, whatever. Okay. And so you can do that. Definitely in version 2, we'll be doing the adding input button. And so it's something to reach for. But I think at the end, what's cool about it is whenever this is all said and done, we'll be able to have a URL. When you send it, whoever creates it will be able to send a URL that will be linked to an XML database that will send you this list as it stands. And as you, one of the logics I thought about instead of purchasing it is maybe adding to cart or something. You don't have to put your word I have purchase in there right now, but it could be as simple as you're going through a grocery store. I thought about this today. Instead of being purchased, just as you're going through the grocery store, you check box it, and it moves it from the top to underneath where it's, added or something. Added to cart or something like that. Something like that. I don't know. Purchase is a really good word. That's why I have it in there right now. But the logic works, and so that's the main thing I was going for. It's not real pretty, but the one thing I did like and I was happy with was how it functioned with the checkbox, adding, and the deleting all works. And so at the end of it, you'll be able to do that. So what's cool about the shopping list app in total is this. Once you get through with it, everything you learn creating this app you'll literally be able to do pretty much all types of JavaScript apps you'll ever need to do. All the tools you'll learn, all the tricks and tools and methods and how to format things will all be taught within just one little app, which is pretty cool, I think. Database connectivity, stuff like that. And so that I like, the fact that you'll be able to take that one, not only will be a utility app that you could actually use, you could actually take and add, say, okay, I want to create a recipe app. I want to create any list app you wanted to create, you could do from that. And even further, by adding the send list, you could actually be able to implement in form creation, form submittal, to where maybe you could add in a picture function to take a picture. Now, this would have to work on your phone. It wouldn't work on desktop. Take a picture, embed it, put a message, and literally be able to create a list or a form and send it via text message with that picture attached. So that's some things I'm playing around with. Because all I'll have at the end is multiple modules that you guys will be able to look at and go, yeah, I'd like to add this, I'd like to add this, I'd like to add that. And these modules are going to be made to where we're not going to have time in class to cover these modules, but I want you to have the access to all of them. So like 25 to 50 modules to where you can take any one of these modules and add them to your final app. You'll have to tweak it and go through some lessons of how to do it, just like we did in class. But it'll be like a podcast you'll watch and be able to add the code in yourself. So that's the thought anyway. So where you'll be able to, even after the class, you'll have still have access to the website to where you can keep working on the app and changing it. So anyway, that's the plan. So something a little bit different to where you're not just doing, because I'm no different than students. When I took programming, it's always canned stuff and always stuff from the book, which is okay, but it's kind of boring. It's just, it's mundane, boring stuff to where you don't really use it. If you use something like this or can use something like this, I know you'll get more out of it. I know you'll get more out of it and be able to not only learn more, but you'll retain it and be able to maybe think of other ways to use it and create different apps. You guys agree with that? Be able to do something differently with it. So anyway, that's week 5. If you have questions on anything, again, this is a rudimentary starting at the beginning this week and next week, but it's on purpose. I'm doing it because I think it's important to do that. The big thing to get out of tonight, though, besides what we did in class, is requirements. Whenever you're starting a new app, regardless of what the language, make sure and get your requirements first in writing and checked off by the people that are owning the app, that you're creating the app for. Even if it's for yourself, make your own requirements. Meet with some people, and because other people will have ideas that you don't have. Especially when you pitch to them your app idea, they'll be, well, what about this? Did you think about adding that? No, I didn't think about that. So, it's a good idea, even if they're non-programmers, to get their opinion on apps as well. Because aesthetically, functionality-wise, non-developers, and especially people that want you to create the app will have tons of ideas that your mind will not see, because as a programmer, you're just wanting to, get that list of requirements, knock them out. Not that you can't be creative, but you're kind of siloed sometimes in being creative because you're forced to stick with that list of requirements. And it's on purpose that you want to do that. I always tell people, because it's always human nature when you're doing version 1 like here, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Hey, could we do this? Hey, could we do that? Let's focus on version 1, the bare necessities, the bare bones of the app. Then once we release version 1 and everybody likes it and it functions, the rudimentary functionality of the app works, then we can go to version 2 with all the bells and whistles. And to appease people, what I do is actually give them I set up a submittal thing, like through, we use a SharePoint environment, to where they can submit future requests all day long. And it just adds it to a list. Future items, future items, future items, future items. They take those future items, by the way, when we go to the brainstorming of version 2, guess what is a part of that brainstorming session? All those future items. They look at them and go, okay, what do we want in version 2? Well, what do we have to pick from? They look at the future items and boom, they got version 2 easy right there in the future items. So I don't want to stifle people, because when you stifle people, they don't want to test your app. When you stifle them and you're their creativity. When it comes time to testing, they're like, well, you didn't hear me before anyway, so I'm busy. I'm not gonna have time to test. But if you give them an outlet to give their opinion and their ideas, and they can visually see it, they feel like, and they are, their ideas worthy of us listening to and putting in a list, but maybe it won't be in version 1. It's like a guy I know said at a church meeting one time, a long time ago, not too long ago, but he said, sometimes we have in life a say in things, but we don't have a vote. You ever heard that before? Which actually hit me wrong when I first heard that, but it is true. It is true, everything. Sometimes in life we have a say in things. Those of you that are married know what I'm talking about. But we might not have a vote in that item or that issue or whatever it might be. And so hopefully this is going to be helpful to you. And again, baby steps, getting requirements week 1, getting them under toe. And we will have also new requirements for version 2. We'll have requirements for version 3. We'll have requirements for version 4. And then our final app requirements will be a little bit different than the beginning requirements. So each version is going to have a little bit more requirements. And just so you know, the requirements won't be like leaps and bounds different. It'll be just little nuances, like instead of hard coding the list, we're actually giving the user dynamic ability to add list. Same functionality, just different way of doing it, right? So what we're doing right now is just building a foundation framework for the app to work. And I know it sounds like a long process, and it is, but at the end of the day, when the app's released and people are using it and they're like, wow, I use this app all the time, it's great. You're like, okay, it was worth all the heartache then. It was worth all the headache of waiting and doing it right the first time. And so hopefully you'll enjoy it. If you have any questions about anything, come up and see me. Any questions on the homework? I don't think it's going to take you that long to do. What I'd like you to do is while you're doing the homework, again, I put a challenge in there. There's definitely other challenge things that if I find out that everybody does a challenge, next week I'll probably add 2 or 3 challenges, just so you know. If I see that everybody in here does a challenge, I'll probably add 2 or 3 challenges to next week's, and they won't be like super duper hard stuff to do. And I'll probably give you a link to, like this week I just said go W3 schools, but there might be times where I give you a challenge where I give you a direct link in the challenge to go somewhere to look at an example. Because I know some of you want to do that more advanced or intermediate type of stuff, which that's what this class doesn't teach that, but I think you should have the opportunity to do it if you want to. Make sense? All right, well, we're done. If you have any more questions, come up and see me. Otherwise, see you next week. You can just hang out and work, hang out and chat, whatever you want to do. Anybody watch the football game last night?
Yes.
What'd you think? Did anybody stop watching it like I did at the beginning of the fourth quarter thinking it's over? Anybody do that? And then at 10:30, you're like, what? Right?
After halftime,
Halftime? Yeah. I had thought the same thing, but I thought, I'll watch a little bit of fourth quarter. And it was like, what was it? It was still like 28-3 or 4 at the beginning of the fourth quarter, wasn't it? What was it?
28-9.
Yeah, 28-9 at the beginning. Yeah, it's still then I was like, no brainers because, they've gotten the bag,
Midway through, Patriots somehow came back.
They just kind of, I don't know, it seemed like they
that's
just let the gas off. They just kind of didn't.
Considering their history, that's very suspicious.
Do I know?
Considering the Patriots' history, that's very suspicious because they have been caught of cheating twice.
Oh, I don't think that. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I'm saying I'd be very surprised if that happened after last time, yeah. Because there were a lot of people watching that, yeah, for sure. Oh, did you see, what did you guys think of the halftime show?
I loved it.
Okay. Well, I know what we can do. If you guys want, I can show you. I mean, you're still sitting there shutting down or whatever. I want to show that the drone, I'm into drones. I got a DJI drone that I've not got a chance to play with yet, which is my wife got it for me for Christmas. And after Lady Gaga, which I'm not a big Lady Gaga fan, but I thought she did an awesome job on the halftime show. I thought it was pretty good. But I think I got an image or video of that. It's not a real long one, but it's kind of cool of the intel. In fact, I think if we do the experience more might be better. There's actually better ones than what I had there. Because this one's 23 seconds. So yeah, I guess it's all right. This is after they're coming down from the sky, which is awesome. And they're actually 2 people, Intel folks, controlled that whole 300 drone show. And the only reason they had 2 people was it's password 0642. If one of the people passed out or something, the other person could take over. So literally one person could have done the entire show. And they had one of these, I think it was that's the one I just showed you, the 22-second one. I have some pretty stupid ones in there.
I did a lot of SpongeBob memes after
Yeah.
the Super Bowl. Yeah, there was the Lady Gaga halftime show, and then
Yeah, the
President
halftime
Bush,
hat. Yeah.
Senior Bush.
Let's see. I thought they had better one. Maybe it's on that Pepsi halftime tag. It's better. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, everyone in the house was wondering what the heck those things were in the sky, and I'm like, because my dad told me there were going to be drones. I'm like, those had to be the drones because we didn't see them anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't expect. I didn't because most people didn't know this. I didn't know it either. That was pre-recorded. And the reason it was the FCC wouldn't allow it to be live during the event because of the public being there. How many thousands of people were there? They won't allow drones to fly in a public area like that. And I tried it. It looked live to me because it was televised. They spliced it together, but it was not live. But let's see if I can find a good video. But I thought that was pretty awesome because they've done this actually in Magic Kingdom for a while. They've been doing the drone thing. That's January 7th.
I was gonna say I went to the Magic Kingdom in June and I didn't see any drones at all.
Here we go. Maybe this one's better. Oh yeah, this is gonna be better. They get a closer up shot of the drones on that one. Yeah, going from the Pepsi logo to the Intel logo, that was awesome, I thought. That's crazy. How long it took him to do that.
And then, of course, with the
Long time.
American flag and then the Pepsi.
Yeah, that's right, because they did, you're right, at the end of Lady Gaga's, they had the drones in the shape of American flag. Yeah, the light, that was pretty cool. All right, well, that's all I got. So whenever I get a chance to fly that drone, I'll let you guys know, maybe come out and help me fly it.